Simplify your federal agency's technology procurement with Connection Public Sector Solutions. Connection's dedicated account managers, commitment to exceptional customer service, and extensive catalog of federal contracts make IT purchases quick, easy, and affordable. Turn your challenges into opportunities and get rid of your technology pain points with Connection today. Learn more about what's possible with Connection Public Sector Solutions at connection.com/fedcontracts.
People say treat yourself like you need a reason, but McDonald's treats are perfect for every day. Like bold McCafe iced coffee. Get any size for $1.69. Or pick up any size sweet tea for $1. The largest served in an insulated cup that keeps your tea cold. Feeling a little extra something something? Try the classic bakery sweets like an apple fritter. With so many ways to treat yourself, you don't need an excuse. Just come back tomorrow. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Grammarly Premium. Get your 1 month free trial of Grammarly Premium. Links in the description. Also, you can get a 3-month trial of Amazon Music Unlimited. Links in the podcast description. Welcome to the Stephen Shiels radio show. Today I've got Fleur Chambers from Insight Timer. How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me today. It's great to meet you.
You're welcome. I came across you on Insight Timer doing your live streaming as well, and you're doing a series, if I could recall. How do you prepare for your live stream?
Oh, that's a great question. And you know what? You're the first person that's ever asked me that question. So I'm happy to answer it. Well, first of all, I'm setting them up as series. So I do a 10-week series. So I plan them out. So there's a progression of ideas. And then they're at 10 a.m. And so I plan them the day before. They've got like a 10-minute chat to get people thinking, and then there's about a 30-minute meditation. But I take them quite seriously in that you're holding space for people to go pretty deep, and they're from all around the world. So I prepare all morning. I meditate myself. I clear my own energy. I get through any limiting beliefs or any distractions. I usually have to walk the dog, feed the kids, make sure no one's going to interrupt me. And so far, so good. No one's heard the dog barking or the kids coming in asking for any food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How did you get on Insight Timer?
So when I did my meditation teacher training, I uploaded a meditation just out of curiosity, I guess, to see what it would be like. And Maddie, who was at that stage the manager of the teachers, contacted me and said she was going to be in Melbourne and asked if I wanted to have a coffee with her. So I was really fortunate. We met in a cool little cafe in Melbourne. She's from Sydney, and we got on really well, and she realized I was very interested in it. And so she's just sort of supported my development on the app along the way. And I was one of the first teachers who was invited to write a course. When the courses were first launched, 30 of us teachers were asked to produce a course. So I produced a course then. And then after that, I was the first teacher to produce a 30-day course, which they were trialing. So my 30 days to happiness and fulfillment is the longest standing 30-day course on there.
Yeah, it's really good. I think the work you're doing is pretty fantastic and positive on Insight Timer as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You got a course, Breaking the Cycle of Chronic Pain. Tell me your inspiration for that and how you came up with that as well.
Okay, sure. Well, I have a condition called fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition. So it's when your nervous system is revved up. It's like locked at an 8. You can't sort of get it down. So your body produces pain, not because you've hurt yourself, but just because it's revved up. So I have been living with that condition for about 8 years. And it was about a year and a half ago that I really started to learn that there was a relationship between felt sensation, personality, stress, and pain. Basically, that all pain starts in the brain. It doesn't start through torn muscles or ligaments. And so then during this year, during the lockdown, I got really curious and did a lot of inner work about how I could reduce the felt sensation of pain through the attitude that I brought to it. And then in my usual style, whenever I have a personal breakthrough, I work out how I can teach it to others. And so that course was a triumph for me, because I had to learn to break the cycle of my own chronic pain in order to be able to create that course for other people.
Oh, it's very interesting. And with your journey on Insight Timer, it's what keeps you going on the app as well?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. So every couple of days, I check in on the people that have posted in my courses, and I really like responding to their questions or their feedback. So I just press play on the audio and I just talk into the microphone, and people are just delighted that I've gone to the trouble to give them one-on-one feedback. So that's incredibly rewarding and just so beautiful to connect with people in that way. And I really like the live opportunities. So part of me having this chronic pain condition meant that I had to stop doing the face-to-face teaching, because it was too stressful for me to think that I would be in pain and have to show up for a group of people wanting to learn to meditate. So the live sessions on Insight Timer are just a perfect way for me to engage with people, but not to have the stress of, turning up to a class and worrying I'll be in pain and all of that stuff. So it's a very busy environment, Insight Timer, and you just have to stay in your own lane and not get caught up in comparisons and all of that drama about who's doing what. And you just have to know that you're servicing a group of people in there, and it's a really beautiful connection. I mean, 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been an option as a career. So to think that I can connect with people all around the world with different life experiences, and we can all go deep together, it's just pretty remarkable, really.
Mm-hmm. Fleur, how long have you been meditating, and what is happiness to you?
Ooh, another good question. Well, I've been formally meditating for about 12 years, but I would say that ever since I was little, I have had a belief in something more. So 3 things I remember doing when I was little is, one was being incredibly respectful of the ocean. I grew up near the ocean, and whilst other kids were playing in the water, I was sort of saying a little prayer of awe and wonder about how incredible the ocean was. So there was that element of prayer and recognition of some form of spirituality through nature. Another thing I used to do is whenever an ambulance went past, I used to say a little prayer for whoever was in the ambulance. So that was my 8-year-old version of compassion, loving kindness. And I can't remember what the third thing I used to do was, but there's always for me been a sense of something more. And my gateway into something more is awe and wonder and nature. And it always has been. So when I teach meditation, I'm not strict around sitting with your legs crossed, with your eyes closed. I'm all about carving out small moments each day to come down from that busy, critical mind and into your body and your heart, and a felt sense of belonging to something much bigger than just what goes on in your head. So that's I feel like my sense of spirituality has been there since I was little. And then you ask this question about what happiness is for me. And that's a great question, and one that I have thought a lot about, because my business is actually called The Happy Habit. And so I've developed this framework for happiness, which is 10 pathways to happiness that lasts. So it's based on this idea that happiness doesn't come when we get a new car, a new job, we fall in love, we reach an imagined point in the future. Happiness is a set of inner resources or tools that you can build each day through meditation or in real life that mean you can sort of be more present for the good times and more resilient in the challenging times. So some of the 10 pathways to happiness are awareness, calm, gratitude, vitality, acceptance, purpose, compassion. They're things like that. So it's like whatever's there for you in a day, however you're feeling, there's one of these pathways that you can focus on cultivating to move you from wherever you are into a happier state. So that's how I conceptualize happiness.
You've got an app too called the Happy Habit app.
Yes.
How did you create that app? Did you code it yourself or build it yourself or get a app developer?
Yeah, so you said, how did I develop that? With a lot of tears and a lot of pain.
You did it all on your own.
No, I engaged a local app developer in Melbourne, Australia. So a lovely group of very skilled guys, but I created the structure, the 10 pathways to happiness. There's a create section, there's a journaling, there's a grow, there's all different things you can do in there. I wrote and recorded and uploaded all the meditations and the images, but they did the back end stuff. But it is very, very hard developing an app. If anyone's thinking about it, take a deep breath, have a sip of tea and think again. That's the advice I'd give.
Yeah, I'm looking at doing an app in the future as well, but a lot of work goes on into the app behind the scenes.
Yes, that's exactly right. So what the app does for me is allows me absolute creativity and autonomy over the content that I put in there. So that feels really beautiful. It's really lovely for people to just have one teacher and one framework. Whilst I love all the really big apps that have like thousands of teachers, it's very overwhelming for people. So they get in there and it's a bit like a dating app, these big apps. They get in and they're listening to one person, but they're thinking, oh, I like this person, but what if there's someone better on here? Or what if someone else says it differently? So it's very hard to be in the moment when you're on those huge apps. So what I like about my small app, which isn't there to compete against the big ones, they're two totally different offerings. What I like about mine is it's one teacher, it's one framework, it's all leading you in the direction of happiness. And some people just like a more boutique experience. So that's what the Happy Habit app is. It's never going to rival the big apps, and it's just lovely to have been able to achieve that, I guess.
You've got online courses on your website as well. What are you mostly teaching on your online courses?
So the online courses on the website, they're the same 6 courses that are on Insight Timer, just presented a little bit differently. And one of them is a morning meditation course. So what I've realized is that often people start the day already feeling not enough, or already one step behind, or they wake up and they're still being mean to themselves about what went on yesterday, or they're comparing themselves to people on social media. And then they start the day feeling behind, and it just carries on. That energy carries on the whole day. So that morning meditation course is about really starting the day feeling like you're already enough and feeling hopeful and grateful, and then setting yourself an intention for that day. And so when you invariably get off track, like we all do in life, you've got an anchor to pull yourself back. So people have really enjoyed that course, because it's lovely to start your day not behind, starting your day already feeling enough, and like you get to choose where you place your attention and your intention. It's incredibly powerful.
Did you go to India as a kid, and what do you remember most about your trip to India?
Yeah, that's also a great question. It's funny because so many meditation teachers have these transformational stories of going to India as an adult and studying with a master. And so I shared that story on my website, that I'd been to India as a child and that I'd had that transformation there. And so I was I think 9 years old when we went to India, and I've never seen poverty like that ever. I mean, poverty that you just couldn't even get your head around as an adult, let alone as a 9-year-old child that had grown up, blonde hair, blue-eyed on the coast of Australia. So a sense of real disadvantage, but also a sense of colour and vibrancy and celebration. So all the offerings and the clothes that people wore, and this sense of happiness that existed beyond money. And so these are the things I remember. I also remember the absolute assault to your senses, the spices, the heat, the smells, the curry, all of that. So just really being overwhelmed by this sensate experience. Again, that coming down from your mind into the fullness of life and the sensory world. So these are the things I remember. And I did a lot of travel as a young child with my family, and I did a lot of travel as a sort of 20-year-old. And I think that real interest in the diversity of ways of living really allowed me to feel, one, incredibly grateful for all the opportunities I had, but also allowed me to realize that there are many different ways to show up in the world and to feel like you belong.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's good to have memories from past travel experience too, going to another
especially now when travel is it feels like something a long time away. I mean, you and I were both in Australia. It feels like it will be a long time before we're allowed to freely travel to other countries.
Fleur, what meditation techniques do you teach, and what are your favorites and what are your not so favorites?
So I was just trained in a very broad toolkit, I guess, of meditation, and then I have sort of developed my own way of teaching. And so I guess the first thing is I'm not strict. So if you want to stand up and meditate, if you're interrupted by kids, if you want to lie down because your back's sore, then that's okay with me. I have an attitude of better to have an imperfect practice than to do it than to wait for the perfect time. So I'm a busy mum, a working mum with 3 kids. I'll often get interrupted when I'm meditating. So that's okay. So you bring your child in, you let them lie next to you. So lowering your expectations around what meditation needs to be. Then I'm also okay with thoughts. So just as our eyes are designed to see, our minds are designed to think. Mm-hmm. So when we notice ourselves thinking in meditation, we don't just use that as another opportunity to be mean to ourselves and to say, I can't do it, I'm no good. We're like, okay, hello, thought. Here you are. I don't have to get pulled into you. I can just let you go. Or I can allow this thought to show me how I'm feeling at the moment. When I first began to meditate using a mantra, I found it incredibly liberating because it shined a light of awareness onto what thoughts I was obsessing over. The same thought would just come in about a past conversation or something I needed to do tomorrow. And it was like, okay, so that's just showed me that I'm really holding on to that thought. I'm really attaching to it. Mm-hmm. So they're the first 2 things about letting go of a perfect practice and letting go of this idea that you're supposed to stop your thoughts. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing would be is that I use breath and a sense of warm-hearted curiosity to really get curious about where things sit in your body. So if you're calling to mind a time in the past, or you're imagining a time in the future, you're thinking of something you'd like to let go, you're thinking of a barrier that's sitting around your heart, where does that sit in your body? Because your body is supremely intelligent. Your body is talking to you all day. Most of us ignore our bodies, the wisdom. And so if in meditation you can get curious about, right, is that pain across my neck? Is that really a sign that I'm not listening to myself, that I'm working too hard? Is that ache in my gut a sign that I need to have a conversation with someone, that I'm not speaking from the heart? So getting curious about the physicality of your life, of where things find home in your body. And often when we suppress emotions, when we try and be everything to everyone, when we try and please people, we put down our own emotions and they come up as pain in your body. So that's a third thing I guess I'm very interested in. And then the other one is really using the power of your imagination. So there's this idea that the visual cortex in our brain doesn't distinguish between past experience, present experience, and future experience. So just say you're wanting to feel more grateful in your life right now. You can call to mind a time in the past where you felt grateful. And by really embodying it, bringing it to mind, remembering who was there, what it smelt like, was it night or day, how did it feel? You're actually wiring your brain for gratitude just by calling to mind a past time. Or if you imagine a moment where you could feel grateful, and again, is it night or day? How does it feel in your body? What did your body language look like? Again, that's another way to strengthen the pathways. So I do a lot of sort of thinking back to a time or imagining a time. And it's all based on those ideas around neuroplasticity, that we strengthen our pathways through visualization and repetition.
Mm-hmm. What's your advice for technology in 2021? Because everything now is all digital. Everything's like an iPhone, iPad, computer, smart TV. Do you have times where you just switch everything off?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really strongly about people taking ownership over their tech habits. So I am incredibly diligent about the way I'm on technology. So I don't have my phone in my bedroom at night. There's no TV in my bedroom. When I I post on Instagram through a scheduler. So once a month I post, and I have a philosophy where I contribute, I don't consume. So I never scroll through technology, social media. I never have. I've never had a Twitter account or any of those things. So what I would encourage people to do is two things. One, notice how you feel when you're scrolling through social media. Do you feel not enough? Do you feel like other people are more successful than you? Does your stomach clench a little? Do you suddenly not feel as relaxed as you did 5 minutes ago? And just be really honest. How does scrolling through social media make you feel? Because one thing I know for sure is it engages your nervous system. Even if it's only just at a 1 or a 2, it engages your nervous system. Will people like it? Have they responded? So it's this, you're on alert, on this social alertness. And so just be really aware of that. And if you are going to be on social media, then have segregated times, like from 9 till 10 in the morning. That's when I'm on social media. And then not be on it. But when we really get into problems in terms of our nervous system and our self-esteem is when we use the idle moments in the day for social media instead of presence. So let's say you're at the supermarket and you're in the queue waiting to buy your milk and bread. You got two choices. You could have a mindful moment where you just take 5 breaths, you feel your senses, you listen, you notice if there's a taste in your mouth, you feel your feet on the ground, and you take that moment to get off the treadmill and to have a moment of presence. That's a good thing. The other option is in the supermarket queue, you scroll through social media, and all that does is makes you more stressed, lower self-esteem, comparing yourself, feeling not enough. And so we have these small moments in our day when we're at the traffic lights, when we're in the supermarket queue, when we're walking our kids home from school, when we're waiting for the toast to pop up. And these moments, if we can swap the technology for a moment of presence, doesn't even have to be a long meditation, your life will change in incredible ways. 5 small moments of presence instead of 5 small moments of incidental scrolling, you'll be a different person.
Yeah, I got a problem with that at the shops and the post office when I'm waiting to pay my bills. We go on my Instagram because I got a music company and have to share my work and check the likes. You know.
Yes. And so you segregate that. So, and we all learn. So when I first launched a course on Insight Timer, I was really excited to hear what people thought. There was a little bit of ego in there. I wanted some praise. I also didn't know if the course was any good. So I was waiting for some validation. But what was happening was I was checking all the time. And I had people from America, and I'd check just before bed in Australia. And then that would be all I would be thinking about in bed. And so now I've got 6 courses on there. There's always someone listening or someone commenting on my work, but I only check 3 times a week, and I check between a specific time, and I really honor that. So when I go to check the comments beforehand, I clear my energy, I do a bit of tapping, I put on these oils, and I really open myself up to being generous in that space. So it's coming from a more whole place. So learning how to segregate your work when technology is part of your work, and to really honor it as a lovely, wholesome thing rather than this sort of nervous energy, ego, how many people are going to like, because we just can't sustain that type of engagement. And for sure, it switches our nervous system on, increases stress. When you're stressed, your judgment's heightened, you blame more, you're self-critical, you can't problem solve. So it's just important to be aware of all of that. But having said that, I have a belief system that's quite broad, and I have been looking a lot in this age of Aquarius that we are now moving into, and it's the sign of air. And so what spiritual advisors and masters who are sort of locked into this 5D world are advocating now is technology will actually just increase at exponential rates because we're moving into this air. We've gone from earth as our symbol to air. And so air, technology travels through air, all of this stuff. So we are heading into a time of exponential increase of technological innovation. So we, us mere mortals, need to work out how to respond to this, so we're all not glued to our phone, feeling stressed and not enough.
What strategies did you have during the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, and how did you stay productive? And what are your goals for 2021 on moving on from the pandemic?
Well, for us in Melbourne, we had 111 days where, I think that was right, where we were only sort of allowed out of the house once a day, and a 5-kilometre rule, all sorts of things, no school. So basically I homeschooled the 3 children and I worked. And again, I did this segregation of tasks. So I worked for sort of 4 hours in a row, and I was 100% present to my work. I meditate beforehand. I get myself in a good mental space. I do that, and then I finish that and I put it away, and then I'm with the kids. So it's this, be where you are. So when you're working, work. When you're with your kids, be with your kids. When you're eating, just eat. When you're exercising, just exercise. But this multitasking that everybody thinks is efficient is just not. We can't actually do things. We can't do 2 things at once. All we're doing is switching badly from one task to another. So what kept my stress levels down during COVID and enabled me to be productive was this commitment to segregating my tasks. And, I wrote 2 courses in COVID. I launched an app in COVID. I homeschooled 3 kids in COVID. So, but I didn't spend hours on social media, and I didn't spend hours watching the news. So I was very protective of how I spent my time and what I thought about. And it was a lot of work to not go down the fear path. And certainly we're very lucky in Australia in that the numbers have always been so low, but it requires a lot of diligence and commitment to not go down the fear, constant checking of social media, constant looking at updates. And so I was just really strict with myself to not go there.
Mm-hmm. Fleur, was a very fantastic show with you today. Where can people find you on your website, social media, or connect with you?
Yeah, awesome. I've had a really nice time connecting with you. So thank you for reaching out, and you're doing awesome things. It's just so great to talk to you and to know that you're connecting with people and you're meditating and stuff. It's just really great. So I have an app called the Happy Habit app, and people can find that on Google Play or the App Store. They can download it for free and try this 10-day happiness challenge, which is 5-minute meditations delivered to you each day for 10 days. And so it's just a really easy way to learn to meditate. And then they can find me on socials or on my website, which is thehappyhabitapp.com.au, I think it is. But on socials, I'm the Happy Habit app.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the podcast. Thank you to the sponsors as well, Grammarly Premium and Amazon Music Unlimited. You guys can follow me on my social media on Facebook and Instagram. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave comments down below. Also, check out my latest single on Spotify called Apocalypse. It was a really great show today. See you later. I would also like to end the podcast off with one of my songs from the first album, Death and Life, called Man Has Become God. I've just published another YouTube video called Man Has Become God, and here you can listen to it. Enjoy it. Stay cool.
So let's say you're into yoga or Pilates, or maybe you dabble in gymnastics like me. Either way, you know being flexible is key to doing what you love. That's why Smoothie King created this Stretch and Flex smoothie for people like us, with whole fruits and organic veggies, plus type 2 collagen. Make it part of your daily fitness routine to support flexibility and joint health. So try the Stretch and Flex smoothie in tart cherry or pineapple kale. Order online today for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
Hike the trail? Check. Order takeout? Check. Schedule heart checkup? Done. We've all adapted to a new way of living. Keep your healthcare on schedule with Johns Hopkins Medicine, where your health and safety are our highest priorities. We're ready to care for you through virtual and in-person visits across Maryland and the greater Washington region. Your health, our experts, safely caring for you. Schedule your care now. Learn more at hopkinsmedicine.org/safe.